All right, welcome back to the third week of the Weekly Geek. As you can tell from the photo that we started off this video with, we're going to be talking about Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe this week. Now, I just want to go back to our first video that we ever started a couple weeks back. It regarded Doctor Strange and who could possibly play that. They had some nominations like Ryan Gosling for The Notebook, which nobody wants to see. But I thought that Benedict Cumberbatch would be the best choice to play Doctor Strange in the upcoming film. We got what we thought was going to happen. I'm pretty excited that I could call that before it came out. Franklin, I know that you had somebody else that you're looking forward to see a new character in the third phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Black Panther because it's the first African American superhero with their own movie. You had War Machine in Iron Man 2, and you had the Falcon and Captain America Winter Soldier, but they only had small roles. They were like sidekicks to Iron Man and Captain America. So it's good to see that there'll be a new African American hero with their own movie who will one day become part of the Avengers.
Absolutely. Now, for those of you who don't know, Black Panther will be played by the guy Chadwick Boseman, who is also Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. Chadwick Boseman and Benedict Cumberbatch are pictured right here. Now, one more thing pertaining to the Black Panther. Me personally, for the Age of Ultron trailer that was released a few days ago, I think we're going to see a small cameo of Black Panther in that movie. They showed shots where they filmed in South Africa. It looked a lot like Wakanda, which is the birthplace of Black Panther. Also, they showed Captain America's shield. It was broken in half. Now, Black Panther in the comic books is known for fixing Captain America's shield. Captain America's shield is made of vibranium, which also originates in Wakanda, which is Black Panther's birthplace. So I feel like he's going to have a very small role, maybe just the end credit scenes, but I do think he's going to be there in uniform only. I do not think Chadwick Boseman will be a part of this film just because it was cast so long ago. I really don't think that they're going to add him into it since they just released his name for the Black Panther movie. Now, to go on to Avengers Infinity War, we're really excited to see how these characters are going to come together in those movies. We just don't really know where part one is going to start off.
You know, I don't know where exactly it'll start off, but I know that it's going to take place in just about the entire galaxy. It's going to take place on Earth, Asgard, in space with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they're going to make an appearance. I think the first part of Avengers Infinity War is going to be Thanos finding the gauntlet and collecting all 6 Infinity Stones. And at the end of the film, he'll have the Infinity Gauntlet completed. And here's a picture of Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet that Marvel revealed.
See, I see it a little differently. I think that Thanos is going to have the Infinity Gauntlet completed more like halfway towards the movie. I think he's going to be fighting the Guardians of the Galaxy first, and then he's going to make his way to Earth because, you know, in Thor Ragnarok in Greek mythology means the end of all things. That comes before, obviously, Avengers Infinity War. I almost feel like Thanos is going to attack Asgard. Possibly Thor flees to Earth, which could set up a part 2 of Infinity War where, you know, Thor is the protector of Earth. His home is now gone. Maybe he's trying to help the superheroes that are from Earth try and save Earth from the same fate as Asgard. But I don't see Thanos finishing part 1 as collecting them. I think that's moving too slow, and I think they did 2 parts for a reason, one to have a galaxy side and one to have an Earth side. I really do.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. Anything's possible, but I just know that both part 1 and 2 will be epic. I know that there'll be a limited amount of heroes. There'll be the Avengers, the Guardians, maybe Black Panther, maybe Doctor Strange, even Ant-Man. Everyone's forgetting about Ant-Man.
Yeah, Ant-Man's weird because he's almost like not in a phase. He's like right after Avengers Age of Ultron, but he's really before the huge release of Phase 3 that they did here. I'm not sure like what they're gonna do with him. Do they really want him in the Avengers Infinity War? I feel like they would have made that.
He's a member of the Avengers.
Yeah, but I don't. Do they maybe not have enough trust in Paul Rudd? I don't know. I don't think they realize what the audience is gonna be like for Ant-Man, and I think depending on how Ant-Man does, we'll see him in the Avengers Infinity War. They're not gonna start filming that for a while anyway, you know. So who knows what's gonna happen with that? But I do see some of the old Avengers and some of the new characters coming together eventually to be Thanos, obviously. But I'm just curious because some of the actors contractually Chris Evans, after Civil War, has one movie left on his deal. And he has said he doesn't want to do any more than what his contract is made for. His contract is 6 movies, which is a lot. You know, some actors don't like to get typecasted. I see him either in part one dying, or like I thought, Thanos going from the galaxy in part one to Earth in part two, where he's there to help Earth from the same fate as what I think is going to happen in Asgard.
Yeah, I know. I know. Rob Downey Jr. is very expensive to pay to be Iron Man, so I didn't think they were going to want him as Iron Man either.
Yeah, I really don't think we're going to see the Avengers, the original Avengers from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in too big of a role in the first Infinity War movie. I really think it's going to be Guardians based because they are super popular now. The third highest grossing Marvel movie that has come out, and I really think that they could also add to Guardians as well.
I think it'll be interesting to one day see the Avengers and Guardians meet. Like,
oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, I feel like that's what we all want to see. We want a collection of all these superheroes kicking Thanos' ass. That's what we want to see. And that's, part two is going to be epic. And part one as well. But just like in any part one, part two movies you see, part one is always kind of a setup. It's a little slower. I know once I've seen both movies 100 times in the theaters, when I get them on DVD, I'm probably just going to watch part two. Or at least start halfway through part one, because I'm just not going to want to see it set up 1,000 times. But either way, I'm happy that in this phase 3, Marvel is expanding. It's not the ground and pound, you could say, type superheroes with Iron Man and that, who don't really have actual powers. You're getting into the mysticism, the magic of Marvel now with Doctor Strange and Inhumans. And I feel like they're making Inhumans because they're not getting X-Men back. X-Men is too big of a franchise for Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers and Marvel do not have a good relationship. So I feel like Inhumans is going to be kind of like the X-Men of outer space for Marvel, because, X-Men is kind of one of Marvel's babies, and they can't do it, so they want to do something similar to it.
I believe you. I think I agree with you 100%. Like, I don't think they're ever going to get X-Men. They may not get Fantastic Four. Spider-Man's a possibility, but even then you're going to have to
It might be too late, too, and I don't think Marvel's in love with Andrew Garfield. And the thing about Fantastic Four, this is the second time they're rebooting Fantastic Four again. I feel like Marvel is not going to want some of the characters that are cast for this new Fantastic Four movie. The only one I can think of that they might want to keep is Kate Mara, because she's just amazing. I love her. But otherwise, it's going to be a hard time. They're going to have to wait a while if they ever do get Fantastic Four. Spider-Man, if they're going to get him, they got to get him soon, because you can't just randomly throw him into Avengers Infinity War. He's definitely, obviously, not going to be in Age of Ultron. There's not really a spot for him right now. But I do hope they get him, because they could bring so much more authenticity to his role. But yeah, I don't know with Infinity War, what's going to happen per se. It's all speculation. I really do think that it's going to start off in the galaxy and come to Earth, and then it's just going to be an all-out brawl. Captain America's died in the comics. We could possibly see that. The end of Chris Evans as Captain America. Robert Downey Jr., obviously. I think Infinity Wars is it for him as well. I really don't know what we're going to see after Infinity War. There's not as many characters, at least that I can think of, that are really too noteworthy that people are going to want to see after this epic end of the Avengers in Infinity War,
I still think that, maybe Iron Man and Captain America have, small roles in future films. Maybe not a camo, but maybe they'll mention them. I think a future film they can make is Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
Yeah, they might
they're lesser known. They're lesser known, but Marvel wants to have every hero that they have the rights to in the same world. Yeah, and I want to see that too. Honestly.
They can do the Defenders with Doctor Strange. I think it's great how I think the Netflix series that they're making is going to be awesome. But I don't see Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., and Chris Evans in smaller roles. I mean, by the time Avengers Infinity War comes around, Robert Downey Jr. has been playing Iron Man for over 10 years. I mean, you do acting for a reason, to kind of do different roles. put yourself out there in things that you're not used to doing, you don't really. I mean, he's gonna be typecast as Iron Man. It's gonna happen. But for himself alone, at least, they have different goals for themselves. Obviously, we don't know what they are. I know Chris Evans likes to direct, some smaller films, but I think Avengers: Infinity War is it.
I can't wait.
Unfortunately.
I'm kind of mad that they told me about this now because I didn't know what the third Avengers was going to be. Now they told me, and now I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and it's what is that? 2018 to 2019. It's so far away.
I haven't even seen Avengers 2 yet. Come on.
Yeah, I know. They're really. It shocked me. I was on Twitter when I saw all the releases just come in succession. My jaws just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And I was like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange. Like, this is just gonna be
his ego went up when he found that out.
I didn't think my head could get any bigger. It is quite large. And Benedict Cumberbatch cast as Doctor Strange. Made my day, flaunted it everywhere. I'm hoping you guys go back to that first video and watch that. I had some good reasons why I thought he'd be the best, and now he is cast as Doctor Strange, and I'm very excited about that. Now, lastly, this is a little bit off the Marvel subject that we've been talking about, but we wanted to get a little bit into Game of Thrones.
Yeah, for those of you Game of Thrones fans, Telltale will be releasing their Game of Thrones series video game. It's episodic, which means that it'll be 5 episodes. Episode 1 is supposed to come out by the end of this year. I'm guessing maybe December 9th or 10th because they like to release it on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And it's going to be great. We don't know where you're going to be playing or who you're going to be playing as, but they have hinted that you're going to be playing as a character for Stannis' army, and I can't wait for it. Because Telltale has done such a great job with The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, and I think Game of Thrones is just going to be another great game.
I'm excited for Game of Thrones as well. One of my favorite shows of all time, the highest budgeted TV show of all time. And supposedly today, the characters just signed on for a 7th, and from what I've heard, possibly last season of Game of Thrones. I don't want to see that. I can't bring myself to realize that.
I've been reading the books. I've read Dance of Dragons. I don't want to read anymore. Then again, he's supposed to make that 6th book, The Winds of Winter.
Yeah, supposedly he's writing.
Who knows how long? He may want to do an 8th book, but
I don't want to think about any more of my favorite characters die. I can't.
The 5th season is supposed to air next year. I don't think 7 seasons is going to wrap it up.
It's only 10 episodes too. It's not like it's that much.
By the 7th season, they should be at the end of the 5th book. So maybe they're going to stop because he hasn't finished his 6th and 7th book yet. Yeah. Maybe they're going to go on hiatus, but I don't think it'll be the final season.
I just hope it ends with Emilia Clarke and Khaleesi marrying me. I love her. I hope she takes the throne and makes me her king. But hey, that's it here for the 3rd episode of the Weekly Geek. Make sure to look back on our previous videos, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram that we'll post up right after the end of this video.